Chargers. Touchdown, UCLA.
With USC great and NFL stud, Frostee Rucker.
The Trojans back in front.
And LAFB founder Ryan Dyrud on the Believe Podcast Network and LAFBnetwork.com. This is your destination for Los Angeles football.
What's up, LA? This is Ryan Dyrud with the LA Football Podcast, and support for LAFB is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Guys, I know a lot of you skip past these ads or just ignore them, but this is one that will actually benefit you every single time you use this product. The worst thing you can do is get nicks, cuts, scrapes, gashes, anything to your southern region down below. It's painful. It's gross. You don't want it. So that's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team spent 18 months, that's a year and a half, perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created and just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. And even better, you get 20% off and free shipping with the code LAFB at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code LAFB. I promise you, your balls will thank you. What's up, Los Angeles? Another edition of the LA Football Podcast here on the Believe Podcast Network and LA Football Network, LAFB, network.com, your destination for Los Angeles football. Happy midweek. It's the midweek show, the LA Football Podcast. Really excited. Got a phenomenal guest. Compliments of our co-host, Frostee. Speaking of Frostee, Rucker, what's going on? How you doing?
Ryan, I'm good, man. Good to see you this morning. Great to hear your voice. We do have a great show. We got a great guest today. One of my old friends or coaches that you want to say. I'm so damn old, so they became friends. 2018, spent some time with them at the Oakland Raiders. They then went to the Las Vegas Raiders, and now he is the offensive line coach, run game specialist. It's Coach Frank Smith. He's going to be our guest. I'm glad you had a chance to speak with him. You know how I feel about him. What was your take on the episode?
Oh, yeah, man. No, I always appreciate you when you're able to get these guys on. And what an awesome dude. Just a cool person. Chargers fans need to be really excited because I think this is a great coach, great hire. Had great influence in Oakland and Vegas with, Darren Waller and Jared Cook and his Pro Bowl season. Was with the Bears with some great tight ends as the tight end coach, and then was also in New Orleans as the assistant offensive line coach. So brings a lot of experience, coached with a lot of great coaches, coached with a lot of great players. And I think he's going to turn this Chargers unit from, last in the league last year. And I think they're going to be a heavy improvement this season. That's because of Coach Smith. So what a fun conversation. I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
Absolutely. Let's dive into it.
Awesome. Before we do, always got to mention our sponsor of the show, BetOnline.Ag. You guys should be sick of hearing this by now. And if you're not signed up yet, it's your own damn fault. So get on BetOnline.Ag. Basketball, NHL, baseball's coming up again soon. Spring training, like pitchers and catchers, I think, report here soon. And we got spring training, actually having fans down in Arizona maybe. So that's coming up. You can bet on The Bachelor, 90 Day Fiance, as Frost loves to watch. It's all on BetOnline.Ag. 50% sign-up bonus when you go today and sign up. So it's BetOnline.Ag, your wagering place. All right, Frost, let's go ahead and get into this great conversation with Chargers offensive line and run game coach, Coach Frank Smith. All right, Chargers fans, got a great one today as we roll into this offseason. Welcome in this new Chargers coaching staff, this new regime, this new bright future for this Chargers organization. And we are joined today by Coach Frank Smith. He is the new offensive line coach and run game coordinator to get this offense rolling. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing great, man. It's another great day in Southern California. No complaints. None.
I love hearing it. Frankie's the pride of Miami, Ohio. What are you guys, the Red Hawks? What's your team?
Yeah, they're currently the Red Hawks. Used to be the Redskins back in the 90s. So I've always been a Red Hawk.
That's right. Coach McVay went there too, right?
Yes, he did. He was a freshman when I was my first year as a graduate assistant.
Look at that. Okay.
Yeah. So
connections run deep in LA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our senior class, we were in charge of the recruiting weekends when he was in the process of choosing. So
great.
we did our job.
There,
That's before Facebook. That's before Instagram. So I'm sure that it was a great time.
It was 13-1. Ben Roethlisberger. We had a good time. So it was a fun place to go to school. Yeah, we used to call it the Mineville High was the Matrix. It wasn't real. So it was all just a small college town where it was a really good time. Great people, great education. I can't complain. A lot of my connections in the NFL stem from a lot of the people who went through that university.
Yeah, that's a good coaching tree that's come out of there. Good professionals, ball players, everything.
Absolutely.
I spent some time in Cincinnati, so I'm a little familiar with Miami, Ohio, and you guys did have some great players. To start this off, you've been an offensive line coach in your past, starting at Butler. You've kind of went back and forth from tight end coach to line. What are some things on the challenges that you have in front of you for offensive line with the Chargers?
Well, I would just say just through the history of my career, playing offensive line, that's what I coached at first in college, transitioned to be an NFL assistant offensive line, did all the quality control, went with it. So then transitioned into the skill world. I would say the tight ends in Chicago were more blocking oriented than ran tight end routes. And then, as you know, Frostee, my time in Oakland I was really a wide receivers coach, coaching Jared and Darren, who are leading receivers. So it's like, I think that, and now going back to line, I would say that what you learn in the skill world, just as far as, tight end play specifically, when you have to adjust and kind of being asked to do different spots all the time, especially with Jared and Darren, you learn to be more flexible with your approach, flexible with the player. What do you feel good with? Like, how do you want to do it? Also flexible and simplistic with the communication. You really learn how to streamline the information you're trying to deliver, because there's so much to, like, your experience with the D-line. If you went from playing on the edge to inside to, how you move you around, there's a whole different pocket of, information you have to process. So I would say that right now, as I'm getting back into this and prepping for everything again, it's just how much the communication, or how much just being able to simplify and really get your message across. That's the one thing from the beginning in college where when you're younger, you think you get paid by the word, and now it's like you get paid by the production. So how can you push the information? Can you make the complex simple? Because, things in the NFL, you can say something simple, but it's never easy. So, but if we can get the message, the information, what we're trying to accomplish, make that in a simple, concise package, the easiness of being able to attempt that's where the complexity comes in.
One of the things I noticed, Coach, when we spent our time in 2018 is the word simple. You simplified plays, blocking assignments, alignments. You really spoke to the players' language in that way. And as you said, your two tight ends were the number one receivers on our team that year. Does that come from your playing time to be able to translate the way your coaching style is, or is it just how you see it?
Combination, but you might find this the funniest part. What impacted my coaching the most is being a dad. So how do I get, the greatest gift in life is you realize that you have no control of anything. You only control your response. You only control what you can control. I can't control someone else. So when I was trying to get my oldest son to do something, and it just one ear out the next, and it was just like, why is this not working? I'm an NFL coach. I got master of communication skills. I can get this guy to, and just realize that, okay, I'm saying too much. And just the constant simplification of, okay, what is the direct message? Like, don't waste time on things that don't matter. And I think being a dad is the number one thing that's kind of shaped me, along with playing experience. And then also I just, the other gift is being a dad, and also having 2 ears in one mouth, and realizing that there's a reason why we have two of those and one of the other. So listen to players, hear what works, know that as you go through a process, and, I learned a lot in Chicago, from Martellus, from Zach Miller, from Deion Sims, just listening, hearing what works for them, what doesn't, and then you apply it to the next year. You're always constantly evolving, because what I think works might not be for someone else. So coming here, will be the next thing of, okay, what worked, taking what I've applied, what worked, okay, doing the run plan in Chicago, right now doing it here, just always constantly evolving what the message is and how we can make sure we deliver it in the most concise, consistent way that they understand, that they take ownership in, that they want to do. And I think being a dad and listening more than talking has been the two really biggest things. And I think listening to players, hearing players, because players play. I stand there in the sidelines and chew gum, So that's been the constant thing for me.
That's great. I love hearing that because, I'm a dad too. And, my daughter's only 10 months, so she's really not listening. But I've learned just in little things, like you tell her one little thing and she does the exact opposite. Like, oh, don't go in that drawer. And she goes back repeatedly. So then it's finding little ways like, okay, I'm just going to direct her this way. And then, she does it, like little tiny things. So it's refreshing to hear that you take that coaching stance, obviously on a little more intelligent level, but to a sense, that's kind of just the translation. And I think it's refreshing for a fan to hear, and I think it works. So, piggybacking off what Frost said in the beginning, you kind of being an offensive line coach, then a tight end coach, now back to offensive line coach. Obviously, Chargers hired Kevin Koger as the tight ends coach. But do you envision, obviously, I think it's important for a coaching staff to really be kind of asymptomatic and really work together in cohesion. Hunter Henry's going to be a free agent, but obviously we hope he's back. Chargers fans hope he's back. I'm assuming you as a team would hope he's back as well with how talented he is. Do you think you'll have a voice still kind of helping these tight ends out, even though you are the offensive line guy, but you've been, Darren Waller's, you've had a hand in, you mentioned the guys in Chicago. So do you kind of envision yourself still having a little bit of a voice in aiding the tight ends, or are you just fully focused on this O-line?
Well, Kevin is a hell of a coach. Like, just getting to know him, he's an even better man. Just, in the brief time we've been together, as Frostee knows, once you've been in the NFL long enough, you can kind of people start repeating patterns of personalities. And this guy is going to be an awesome coach. He's going to be a great addition to the staff. I think as you move inside of a staff, you really realize functional staff, good guys, it's a collaboration. The job is to win. And how do we get that done? We have to do it together. And so hearing his opinion, going back and forth through it, like, this worked for me when I did that job. How do you see it? Having a dialogue is the most important thing. The communication element is the one thing that I found in my life, whether it was coaching players or was, with my wife, my kids, my friends, just everything. It's like, if you have brick wall communication where you may be hearing me, but you're not listening. The key thing is that if we can all listen to each other, find out what's best for the Chargers, implement that, and just all we do with what, the whole piece wants to do between, Brandon, Tom Telesco, ownership group, and Spanos family, what Joe Lombardi wants to do, what I think. You take all these pieces and you shape it and push it together. I think when you do that, you have the best chance to be successful. And I can already tell it's like we have that collaboration element going on. We're having the dialogues, the appropriate ones, the constructive things. Right now, it's just we're formulating the puzzle to, how are we going to teach this system? What are we going to be? What's our identity? Because, I just think the hardest thing in the NFL is if you don't have an identity for what you want to be or what you aspire to be or know what you want to be, that's when you struggle. You just kind of a collection of plays, right? And we just want to make sure right now we have the chance to build who we want to be. My input here, my input there. It's just finding a way to get the job done. The job is to win and bring a championship to this building, to this organization in the city.
Coach, as a former player, that's refreshing to hear that a coach actually listens to their players. I've had coaches, I'm sure that you've had in the past, that have that brick wall syndrome and they don't really want to listen. It's my way or the highway. If you're on the staff and there's other coaches with that brick wall sense, but you learn to teach and direct a certain way, how do you help your players, or it may be in a different group? Do you take the time to go and say, hey, this guy thinks like this, so maybe react in this manner, or do you step back and let it just play out?
It's one of those where I always find if someone's not willing to listen, if they don't hear you, they're not going to listen. So it's like, you give everyone, why do you and I have a relationship? Because we listen to each other. We heard who each other we were, respected. I respected your play. You respected what I did. You respected how I treated everyone, because I treat my grandfather taught me, treat everyone the way you want to be treated. So, that may seem simple, but it's not easy.
Powerful, though.
It's not easy. Yeah. So if you remember that every day and you do that to every relationship, it's like, even if someone doesn't want to listen to me, I'm going to constantly, try. Whereas if I see someone's maybe not doing something that you would go like, yeah, hey guy, I don't know if that's a good idea, but you can try to, like, like the number one thing, if I think just in general with all people, is if someone is being obstinate or, like the brick wall, you're talking to a wall. Like, sometimes I always felt like with Kelly, like when we're arguing about something, she was never hearing me. Kelly's my wife, and she's not listening to me. You're just kind of going like, okay, now how do I get you to hear me? Well, I'll try and make it your idea. And then that normally works. But I just think the ultimate thing is just having respect for each other and trying to work through issues, because there's always issues. I mean, wherever you go, whatever relationship it is, organization, there's issues. It's how you handle those issues. Because this thing kind of shaped me, and I don't know if I ever shared it with you, Frostee, but it's like events occur in life, okay, and the outcome will be dictated by your response to it. So, if I choose a negative or a positive response. So I live in Southern California. I work in the NFL. I get to coach football. If I am not in a good mood, that's on me. This is everything I could ever ask for. So, and then, football has just brought me everything. So I just look at everything. Like, I don't have a negative attitude. It's a positive attitude. And, when things occur, it can either be it's an excuse if you let it be one. So it's just, like we're 4-12 that year with, the year that 2018 in Oakland, and it stunk where you're losing, but it's like positive inside of it. Lee had his best pass protection of his, like he said, some of his best pass protection he did his career, and he was our blocker. Jared was a Pro Bowler. Like, it was just, you make the best of whatever it is, because you can't control what is handed to you. You can just make the best of what you want to do with it. If that makes sense, Frosty. I mean, I kind of went on a tangent.
Good. Coach, there's a draft coming up, and there's some missing pieces to your offensive line. If you're at the combine, you're checking guys out, you're taking your notes down of what you're looking for offensive linemen. What are those key things that you're looking for, those elements for offensive linemen?
Yeah, I think there's those communications that we're going to have. Actually, we're starting. Literally, I got the folder put on my desk today. So we're going to start that process for overall free agent and the combine and draft and all that stuff. Well, combine's not happening this year. So it's like where that process is beginning. But I would say that, like, the intangible things are, can you learn and do you love football? Because I think so many times, and Frosty, I know you and I have talked about this, where, the toughness element of a football player, it's like, I think it's inherent to the game. Like, if you're not tough, because what does tough mean? My version is going to be different than Ryan's and different than yours. Like, tough is it's an arbitrary word where you can make an assessment, but I think we all know what love means. Like, you have children, love your girlfriend, you love your wife, you love your parents, you love your grandparents. Like, we know what that feeling feels like. It's more concrete in our mind. And when you love something, you sacrifice for it. You do the things that you don't want to do. So, do I want to change my daughter when she's younger? Do I want to change her dirty diapers? No, but I love her, so I'll do it. Okay. So, like, just simple things to that. So if you love football, you're going to do the dirty things. Like, you're going to take on the double team you're going to split that double team if you're a D lineman. You're going to freaking run and cover the ball if you're an O lineman. You're going to run off the ball. You're going to crack, replace, and make the tackle if you're a corner. There's certain aspects to the game where you can see if they truly love it. I think that's the most important thing that I would say is guys who love this. Like, as a coach, you love football. I don't care about the hours. Like, the hours are just a constraint. Like, I haven't worked a day in my life, because I really do love what I do. I love the people. So if guys who love, now, can they learn? Now, we're not asking you to learn the capital of, South Dakota, which is Pierre, but it's like, we're asking you to learn football. Can you learn it? Okay. So now, some guys learn different ways. That's on us as, in the fundamental, coach is a teacher. So we have to teach the game and teach the toolbox of skills, but can you learn? So in different guys, like, if you can learn and you love it, you meet our physical characteristics that we're looking for. Those are the guys we're going to be looking for, because the intangibles are something I think that really do apply to even just like people at home right now, when you're looking like, do you love your job? And people can say, no, I don't, or yes, I do. And we want guys who love their job. They love every element of it. They love it even when it's going bad. They're just obsessed with it. And actually, I think I've realized now, Frostee, like so many times it's hard for former players. Like, and in the minute, what other profession do you get to love what you do and you're good at it, and just you have no control of father time, and then all of a sudden it just goes end. Go find something else to do.
Exactly.
It's crazy, man. I've been thinking about the last couple of days, but those are kind of the intangibles, tangible stuff we have to have discussion on. There's multiple things that go into that, but I think the intangibles are the things
for a lot of people. I noticed in my career at some point football was going to let me know one way or another that I was done with it.
Right.
So I treated it as a relationship, and I put everything into it. I sacrificed. And, as a player, as a leader on my team, in the locker room, in my group, I always looked for guys that would fight with me, not with me, but fight with me.
Yeah, just maybe an occasional
fight with, comma.
If they don't bring their rookie donuts and stuff, but that's besides the point.
Exactly.
One of the things I look for in my teammate, the guys that are right next to me in the locker room, are you accountable, right? Because in order to sacrifice, in order to show me that you love the game, it's almost like, are you willing to be here every day on time? Those little things like that. Can you just make it here on time? Can you be here a little bit early to take care of your stuff? Because I'm going to guarantee you, I'm going to be in an hour early to work. If anything, it's an hour early. I'm going to get my hot tub, my cold tub, my stretching. I'm going to get it all in so that I'm prepared for my work day. And when the guys drag ass and they tiptoe in, that's the type of stuff that I don't really like out of a teammate, because it's like, it's not that important, right?
Right.
It's not important and you're tired. You should have went to bed earlier. You got your studying in. But again, I came from a way of being at the end of it, a 13-year vet, that my foundation at USC set me up for that. But a lot of guys come from these schools, and it may not be up to par as getting treated like a professional before they get there. So, Coach, it brings me to my next thing. When you're recruiting a guy, or you're looking into a guy and you're talking to him on the phone or Zoom now, what are the things that, when they say, I want to be a student of the game, A, what does that mean to you? And B, how do you teach them how to be one?
Sure. I think it goes into your point, is like, you learned it at USC. So there's people at USC who would have attested to your habits, what you did, and your actions talk so loud you didn't have to hear a word you said, because people were speaking for you and what you've done. And I think that's where sometimes college players don't understand, is like, if you want to play in the National Football League, your resume is that experience in college, and everyone that you're interacting with is, dotting the I's and crossing the T's on that resume, whether you know it or not, because the referrals of the other, like any job, like the referrals are going to mean something. So like, as the scouts do their due diligence, they're the ones who are acquiring the information, about who you are as a person. So normally you get, when a guy says he's a student of game, he wants to learn, well, trainer says you were not there on time. Wait, the strength coach said you weren't doing what you needed to do. Like, there's a pattern of behavior that you're getting in a report that says, okay, now we'll challenge you on the student of the game. And you start asking questions to see if you are a student of the game. Put on your tape, what do you know? You should be able to tell me more than just, I got that guy. You know what I mean? Or I'm doing this. You should be able to tell me, well, he did this, the center did that, quarterback said this. You can start hear that like, okay, that gets backed by, they said they had to kick you out of the weight room. That was like something like Foster Moreau, who we drafted in Oakland, now Vegas Raiders. I keep saying Oakland, but he was a 4th round draft pick, and his resume was unbelievable at LSU. He was at the Senior Bowl on the other team. We coached the other team, so we got an hour with him. He knew everything. He knew everything that was going on. Like, he answered for the other guys, because if they delayed, he was like, I know this. LSU, he freaking took a bar in the face, split his lip, had to go get stitches, and he came back later in the day and finished his workout. The strength coach attests to that. Gave me the story. You're just like, a guy who's obsessed. He loves it. He breathes it. He lives it. Everything in that his passion is to be great at this job. And you can sense that within 5 minutes of talking to someone, everything about who they are just screams, I love this game. I love everything. It's provided everything. So like a player to me, I didn't have to ask many questions to a guy like that because his referrals already led me to that. But if you say you're a student of the game and you want to be one and learn, okay, so now you got all the intangibles we bring you here. Now, how do we do that? Well, either falls on the coach, or if sometimes coach, you have a strong vet in the room because there's just too many people. Well, if we have guys like you in the room, then you can help. Like when you're saying the message, we're trying to do it, and then you kind of see they're going like, he keeps telling me I need to do this, I need to do that, and then the vet can go like, yeah, you do, and these other things that maybe he doesn't know what we do, because that's a player's perspective versus coach, and that's where it's like a surround sound where coach hits one ear, vet players, the mentor in the room, and you get now just this constant feedback. So I think that's even more important in the bigger position groups. Like tight ends, I felt like if we didn't have a strong vet, there was only 6 guys in training camp, I could take on that role. But like now you're talking about offensive line, defensive line, DBs, who's the vet in the room setting the culture, enforcing the culture, because I'm more having a collaboration with the senior leadership of the players. How do we envision what is the standard for this group? What do we want to accomplish? What do we want to be known for? Okay, help set that. Now, how do it, like, you guys go do it, and I will back you every step of the way, because if the players don't drive the message, man, it's so like students of the game, we want those type of guys. We'll take an art to teach as much as we can, but it has to be coming from player driven. Greatest teams are player driven.
Yeah. Going off that student, I guess, mentality, and you'll learn more now being the O-line coach here, being tight end coach recently, but from what you've seen, I know we hear a lot like in the media that there's, college offenses, they're not really translating to the pros. Like there's a big learning curve. Can you just talk about how big of a learning curve there is as an offensive lineman coming from Texas, coming from LSU to the pro game? Or is it actually fairly relative and they can learn quickly? Or is it like a big jump? So you see a lot of these rookie linemen that kind of take a little while to progress. And some of that's just, learning all the pro offenses. So can you attest to just that learning curve?
Well, a lot of it is like, if you figure like spread offenses, they spread people out. There's less vision for them. There's less variables. Where the core of many pro offenses, we're bringing 5 linemen, tight end or 2, fullback, halfback, quarterback. I mean, we got, all these guys right there. And as you bring these guys in, you bring the defense in. So now all of a sudden you got a lot of things tight, moving fast. So it's just teaching how because like I always take it back to like you teach your children how to catch a ball. Okay. Ball hits them in the chest. They're staring at you, smiling, going like, did I do it? And you're like, no, you didn't. Your eyes are wrong. You got to see your targets. So I think a lot of it is just vision based, where like an offensive lineman, now we're bringing the box tighter, things happen faster. And there's a lot of, it's like bullets out of a gun when guys are moving. So you got to just train visuals, movements. And I think just sometimes it just comes to like their exposure, but if they're willing to work and learn and spend the extra time, I think there's an acceleration. It's just how quick does it go, and a learning curve. And our job as a coach is to shorten the learning curve, accelerate it, make it happen faster. Like, how can we take the complex and make it simple, and then say it in a way that's communicated, and then just demand that every day, that this is what you want to be. You need to do this. So I think that's the big element. Like you look at Joe Burrow, when he was at LSU, they played in a lot of empty, like they spread the field. It's easy to see for a quarterback, you spread it out. It's either yes or no. They're going to pressure me and make me throw it, or are they going to give me time to see it all? Like, so I think that's the big thing from like spread college offenses, as they spread it out and they go fast, and the average NFL game is somewhere between, 65 plays, college offenses, they go fast, they can get 90 plays. Yeah. So there's less margin of error because we have less plays, because even the fastest teams that go, you get maybe 70. Like we just don't have as many plays for the margin of error. So everything's got to be on it, detailed, to the point, know exactly what each play means. And then now, what is the defense doing? How are they trying to stop what we're trying to do? And you got to be able to react to it. It's all training the reactions, and small places, small stuff, small reactions. That's the kind of, to me, it's big, spread out. NFL can be here.
Totally.
One of the things that we on this podcast have had a chance to do is we take on emails and we listen to fans. Obviously, we watch the games and before we can give our professional opinions, as I like to call them. One of the things we noticed about your new squad is that last year, some of the best things we liked is that they did go for it on fourth down. I think last year, even for the Raiders, you guys went for it for fourth down a lot. And that says a lot on you guys trust the guys up front. But sometimes with these third or fourth and shorts and whatnot, there wasn't a lot of push up front. Okay. What are some of the things, if you're going into this new year, you get a spring ball, and say that's one of the focuses, what would you tell your O-line up front that the missed achievements, how do you get them over the hump to have confidence in when you go 4th and 1 that they can get that 1 yard?
Well, I think it goes back to what we were talking before is like, okay, how do you set the standard for the group and what you want to accomplish? What do you want to be known for? Like how do you guys see the game? How do you see this group? What do you want us to be? Like, and if you don't ever communicate that, or you talk about it one day and let it go to the next, it's like, if our standard performance is here and we're going to hold ourselves accountable to that, and you hold me accountable too, it's not just them, it's me as well. So it's my, what I mean? I just think that's the lost element of, we'll provide the techniques and schemes, you provide the execution and reactions, and we do it together. And when it does fail, that's on me as well. Like if it's on us, like it's not just players, it's coaches as well. Like if we didn't give you good schemes to execute, it's hard to do that. So I think it's a combined thing that starts way before the season. I think it starts in the off season of when we come together as a group and they're going, who's this tight ends coach coming here? He's a wide receivers guy. He's been coaching Darren Waller. What the hell does he know about anything? And then they'll learn about me. That's my line has been what I've been always. And here's what I want us to be. Here's my expectation for us. Do you see it that way? Absolutely. Okay. Then we're going to hold ourselves accountable. I'll hold you and you hold me. Okay. Like I love Witten. Jason Witten last year would always be like, he's like, don't go soft on us. You hold us to that standard. I'm like, I will. And he's right. Because great players want to be held to that high standard of performance. So because that's how you win. That's how you be great. So I think it starts, like to answer your question, Frostee, it goes all the way back to when we start getting together in about a month and a half of what do we want to be? How do we see ourselves? Okay. Do we see ourselves as just being like everyone else, or are we going to be different? All right. How do we pattern to be different? Well, we got to, sometimes when they know you're going to run the ball, you still execute it because we're going to will ourselves to do it. So that's, I think, how we do it. It starts in the foundational elements of what we're going to be about, and then design the plays for that to give them a chance to do what they do well.
Coach, with your background being offensive line, then you're going many years, and then you end up on the Raiders. They bring in Tom Cable. Now you're back at the offensive line. Is there a lot of things that you picked up from a great Tom Cable of the way he has his coaching style and his techniques, or is it pretty much fundamentally the same thing that you would want out of your offensive line?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a constant evolution as a person. Like you learn something, like I learned something in college from my line coach. He taught me this, he taught me that. Then I go to college and, maybe that didn't work. So I got to evolve. I got to find more. Like I was lucky. Like I worked at a 1AA school where I could go meet Joe Philbin at the Green Bay Packers. I met Aaron Cromer when he was with the Saints. And I worked for Aaron Cromer. And that's who kind of really shaped my formative beliefs. Howard Mudd, he was consulting for us. I used to pick him up at the airport and, he just tell me everything. I mean, and then one of my coaches is Bobby Johnson at Miami. He's the O-line coach for the Bills. And then you get these patterns and it gets to Caves. It's just, you're only as good as the people, the people shape you, who you're willing, if you listen to them and you can hear what they say. Like Tom, there's many things that way he teaches is really, really cool. Just different ways to say the same thing. So like, why do you read a book? You read a book to either confirm what you know or learn something new. And that's really kind of like, I look at everyone you meet. It's like either confirming what you know or learn something new. And sometimes learning something new means just to say things in a different way. So like I've learned a ton from players. I've learned a ton from other coaches. I just try and be a sponge every day and just figure out, okay, who is this person? What works for them? How do I push this information to them? And that was a really cool part, like Cabe's, his way he says things, the way he teaches things. different than Aaron, the way he taught me when I started out in the NFL. But like all of them, in a weird way, you assimilate it all to kind of that's who you are, in the end. So always growing, always evolving is kind of the mindset for me.
That's great. Yeah. It's crazy that all the coaching tree and you mentioned Aaron Cromer also in LA. So it's like these two LA teams are so intertwined. It's kind of cool. And that brings me, I guess, to I got two more for your coach. This has been so much fun. And I tell Frostee all the time, I'm so blessed to be able to do this and meet all these awesome people because of guys he's known. So thanks again for taking some time with us. But
anything for Frosty, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone says, which I love. So
yeah.
Run game coordinator, which is also your title, just for fans that don't know. You can keep it super simple, but I guess what does that entail technically? Because there's an offensive coordinator, so I guess what is that in your role? What does a run game coordinator do?
I think ultimately at the end, it's like ultimately we look at this as a collaboration for the best offense we can put on the field that everyone can feel proud of. It means basically, however we're going to set it up, we're still figuring all this out, but
of course,
opinions on what you should do, what you think, what you believe in, what you've done, like you're kind of the foundational piece of that. Talking with Joe Lombardi, offensive coordinator, to how he sees it, working with Brandon as far as what he wants. I mean, you're just kind of like, I guess you would say it's like you have a CEO, you have the vice president of, relations or human resources. You have this. It's like you're just another, I don't know if it's department head. I don't know if that's the correct analogy, but it's more of like you're another member of that, where I would say most line coaches are run game coordinators or the run game pieces. It's a title that's been kind of being used recently just because I think it just puts an onus on that element. So I'm lucky I got, there's just a bunch of guys on the staff who have a bunch of different experiences, but yet we have a lot of similarities in philosophical things. Mm-hmm. So I think my job is to listen to everyone, absorb the information, give my best opinion to Joe as to what I think, which way we should go forward, in turn with what Brandon wants to do. And just we design something and work in collaboration with Joe, me, the rest of the staff to get it done.
Is that in more detail? Does that mean, Frank Smith likes to run zones, he likes to run powers, he likes to run counters or traps, or versus this type of front? How do you guys feel about it? Is that how you guys go about it? And like, okay, this is our base going into this game. They run a 4-3. We're going to hit them with these runs because this is the philosophy.
Yep. Essentially, to the extent who we're trying to figure out what we want to be right now. As far as the world and anyone listening, we're going to be running every unbalanced weird thing on planet Earth, so no one has any idea. Just kidding. More of it's going to be right now. We're just exactly. I think if you don't have an identity for what you're trying to be, and you just kind of dump in the bucket, you just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Sometimes it's good, but if you have a core identity of what you want to be, and then now we establish to the defense, this is what they're going to do. Now you see how are they going to try and take away your identity. So they want to take away your fastball. Okay. Now that's where they change up the curve, slider. That's where you need your stuff. But if you have a core thing, you're on defense going to have to sacrifice to make a decision. All right, how are we going to stop that? Because they said that is what they're going to be good at. And then now, what are you trying to do to stop us? Okay. So now you make yourself vulnerable to this there. That's now how we kind of see how we'd like to attack. Have a core identity, and the identity then will express itself. The defense has to make a choice of what they want to do, and here we go. A lot of pieces, and that's probably the simplest way to say it.
That's great. I know Chargers fans are probably extremely excited to hear all that. So, all right, Coach, well, last one for me. Again, thanks so much. And this probably isn't a total fair question because you guys haven't even gotten on the field yet and you're just getting to know each other. But what's been your initial impression of Coach Staley? Frostee and I were fortunate enough to cover him too because we cover both the Chargers and the Rams. So we've seen him all year long and been super impressed. And we were ecstatic when the Chargers did hire him. So just what's been your impression of your new head coach?
Well, we worked together in 2017 in Chicago, and he's a great positive guy. I mean, when you know his history and being a cancer survivor, he's the same. He views life kind of the same way I do. Like, if you're not fired up to live today, that's on you. And then, like, it's going to be, we have an opportunity each day, and let's make the most of it. So it's just a guy who has such an experience and wealth of knowledge from, and it's just been great for me just because he believes in so many things the same way I do. Of let's make the most of this. Let's have fun doing this job. All right, let's make these players have an experience that they haven't had before. Where and Frostee knows me, so he's like, okay, another guy like you, okay, like and so that means it's a player driven club that's going to be about their experience and making sure we maximize everything that they do well and mitigate the other things. But at the same time, he's awesome. Like it's hard to really describe it because it's really like once you meet him, you get it. Because who you guys see on the media, that's him every second of the day. That positive energy, that love for life, that energy for the opportunity.
Awesome. Coach, last question for me before we send you off to dive into the playbook and get your core principles down. As a run game coordinator, you got a couple of different backs. What is the average you want to see per run on your team? What is a good one? What's a goal to set for?
Well, I think when you look at like statistically over the league, this last year, I mean, the rushing numbers were extremely high. Like we had guys averaging over 5 yards a carry. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at in 2016 in Chicago, when we were running the ball, we were 5th overall at 4.3 yards per carry. So it's like every year it's that number is going to go up and down, and you don't really know how it's going to fit, like what's going to be enough to win. I just think that ultimately, if you statistically look at it, you say 4 to 4.5 yards per carry, you somewhere in that range, where you're efficiently running the football, and then now your attempts. It's like you can get good yards per carry, but then if you don't get enough attempts, you never get that big explosive. So it's just consistently sticking to it because you're being efficient at it. Because I just remember working for, John Fox in Chicago. He'd be like, "Hey, we need to be good at running the football." Well, if you get 30 attempts to run the football, one of those will go if you have an identity, if you have the setup, if you know what's going to happen, the counters off of it. If you can set the whole thing up, that's where it all comes. So it's just different every year, but anywhere I'd say that statistically over the NFL in the last, at least 5 years, anywhere from 4 to 4.5, and you're starting to kick ass.
I love it. That and our fans and friends that follow our show, if you can run the ball good, it opens up the play action. Our Chargers do have a great young quarterback that I'm sure Frank can't wait to meet and share some of his knowledge with. Coach Frank Smith, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. You know I do, my brother. Best of luck to you this season. And if you need me, I do have a consulting firm. Holla at your boy.
I thought you promised me there's one more snap waiting at some point.
It says it every show. One series.
I got one series and it's a goal line.
Exactly. I thought you would have won a 3rd and 20.
No, I don't want that because they might screen it and then I have to run far and that way.
Love it, man.
Thanks, Coach. Really appreciate you, man. This was fun.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, what a great interview. I think Chargers fans, you need to be extremely excited. Awesome guy. Frost, we'll dive in more, breaking that down a little bit. But first, take a brief moment to talk about our newest sponsor, eBay. Yes, they are still around and still flourishing.
Well, and whether sneakerheads alert.
There you go, sneakerhead alert. Whether you rare dead stock or the latest release, find the exact shoe you're looking for. As the original sneaker marketplace, eBay is the place to go to cop the pair you've been eyeing. With eBay's authenticity guarantee, your sneakers are meticulously inspected by independent professional authenticators. A team of experienced sneaker authenticators verify the box, logo, stitching, and dozens of other inspection points. Each sneaker also receives an authenticity guarantee tag that includes a digital stamp of authenticity. Yes, very authentic here at eBay. And for sneaker sellers out there, eBay has eliminated selling fees on sneakers $100 and up, making it free to sell or flip your collection. So you can buy and flip it, make some money. Go to ebay.com/sneakers today. That's ebay.com/sneakers, the world's best destination for discovering great value and unique selection. ebay.com/sneakers. There you go.
Good deal right there, man.
Yeah. eBay still ripping and roaring.
Hopping and flipping. That's what they call it.
There you go. Hopping and flipping. So, but yeah, man, Coach Smith, thanks a lot for setting that up. I love that, being able to talk to these guys. He's in his office at Chargers facility. That's so cool for me.
Yeah, man, he's a total normal dude. Great passion for the game, for the sport, for the O-line play. Like you alluded to before, the top of this episode, Frank Smith's a guy that you do want in your locker. You do want on your coaching staff because he can communicate to the point where these guys are going to be able to comprehend what he's coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as you Chargers fans know, we have a lot to improvement to do up front. There's some holes, there's some gaps, there's guys that retired. This is the perfect time for Coach Smith and the staff to draft the right offensive lineman, to set the tone, the right free agent. It's going to be a great time to see how this whole thing unveils itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of people listening were wanting maybe more questions involving, personnel and stuff like that. But, these coaches have been literally hired on for not even a full week. I think the announcement came out like last Wednesday. So we wanted to keep it real, just casual, and get to know him. And hopefully we'll be able to get Coach. I think we will get him back on, either after the draft process, once they've really solidified this room, and then we can get more into, what they kind of envision for this unit. Cause there's so many free agents on this side, and he's barely even met with his staff. So some of that we just couldn't get into, but you can see the knowledge he has, the passion he has, talking about love of the game. That's what they look for in these players in the draft process when they're sitting there at 13, if they do use that pick for an offensive lineman. I know a lot of Chargers fans are looking at potentially a trade for Orlando Brown in Baltimore. So that'll be a question that goes into that. Like, does he love the game? Does he's passionate about it? So you're able to see on the surface level what the Chargers got in this guy. And when it was announced, I was stoked. You told me, and after talking to him more, I'm fired up and ready for football to be back.
There's always something about Black Monday when coaches get fired. You have just a short time, a window of being upset or however disgruntled you are about the decision. And then you get to check out who's coming in. And when you play in this league long enough, like I have, you've been coached by everyone or someone that knows someone. And Frank Smith's one of those guys that I'm so fortunate and glad that he's with the Chargers. Southern California is going to fall in love with this guy and the way his offensive line plays. I'm going to be looking forward to who's going to be protecting your star quarterback. This is a great hire, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's tasked with probably the most important job on this Chargers team with making this offensive line better to protect their best asset in Justin Herbert. So no easy task, but I think he'll be up for it. So hope you all enjoyed that. I had a blast. Hope you enjoyed listening to it. For Rams fans and college fans out there, we do got more stuff coming for you too. I know this was the last two episodes have been a little Charger heavy. We had the USC heavy episode last. So, but we got draft prospects coming on. We got some Rams coaching guys coming on as well. More Chargers coaches, players. So we got a lot of stuff planned in this offseason for us. The season never ends for the LA Football Podcast, and I'm excited to give more access to our fans and our listeners and keep growing with us. So thanks for being on this ride, and let's keep rolling.
Yeah, we're on our way, man. I don't know where the final destination is, but we're on our way, and we're just chugging along. Things are picking up. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. If you go to my social media, I will start posting more swipe up so people can subscribe. Ryan will do the same on his. Please tell your friends, family, and everyone to support it. So go to subscribe, LA Football Podcast. That's us.
Yep, absolutely. So you can find Frostee at the Organic Frost on all social media. You can find me at Ryan Dyrud LAFB on Twitter, at Ryan Dyrud on Instagram. Our main account is at LAFB Network everywhere: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You can search just LA Football on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, all those. Real easy to find us, LA Football, LAFB Network. Hit that subscribe button, helps us out. And talk to us. We'd love to chat football with you this offseason, see what you guys are thinking about these moves, what we're looking at in free agency for the Rams and Chargers, how the draft process is looking. So we'd love to chat. So hit us up on the socials. Have a great week. Stay healthy, stay safe. Frostee, can't wait to talk to you again on this Zoom here soon.
Yeah, let's get it on, man. Stay safe.
Absolutely. Talk to you guys all soon.